Hello everyone, it's Greg from Edinburgh Renaissance Fencing Academy here. Today's video is a kind of opinion piece based on my own personal experience of many years training in historical fencing. So I want to talk about the attitude of respect in our practice. Now, there are lots of aspects of respect in wider martial arts training, which have been much discussed in many other places. So respect for your training partners, respect for your instructors, and respect for the art that you study and its lineage and heritage and so on. These are all good things, and of course, I agree with them. However, today's video is about something much more specific. It's about respect for the weapon and respect for the potential for it to harm us. And that has a big impact on the way we train and on any weapons-based art. So let's get into it step by step. Okay, so the first point I need to make today is a reiteration of something that I have discussed in older previous videos, which is the difference between a sports system and a combat system within the sphere of martial arts. So fundamentally, if you are doing a sport like modern sports fencing, the attitude is about scoring points, which generally means attacking, being aggressive to get the score to win the match. Now, that tends to encourage a kind of lack of respect for the other person's weapon, because there's no threat of death or significant injury from that. The focus of a sporting bout is, of course, to win it. Now, if we compare that with a combat situation, if we are using sharp weapons and it's a life or death situation, of course, we need to be worried about the prospect of injury or death if we come into contact with the opponent's weapon. So that creates quite a different mentality. If we want to practice fencing as a genuinely martial combat system, then we need to be worried about and respectful of the enemy's weapon and its ability to harm us. So really that's the difference in those two mentalities. But there's more to the issue than that. So let's talk about this idea of respecting the opponent's weapon in a little bit more detail. So if we are worried about being injured by the opponent's weapon, then our instincts as humans will tell us to stay away from that weapon, to be scared of it, in other words. And that is actually a bit of a danger in historical fencing practice. If we are very scared of the opponent's weapon, then we will stay at an excessively long measure. And we won't be able to properly apply our techniques. So this creates a kind of contradiction within our arts that we practice. If we don't respect the opponent's weapon and we're not worried about it, then it can lead to us just charging in an unrealistic way and then bashing away at our opponent without regard to what they're doing. But if we are scared of their weapon, then that can lead to us staying too far away, retreating too much, and never really properly engaging in an exchange with our opponents. So the thing is that if we want to develop our skills as fencers, we need that engagement, that interaction. We need to be in those extended sequences or plays in order to develop our weapon handling skills and our knowledge of tactics and our understanding of how techniques are properly applied. So we can't afford to rush in headlong, of course, but nor can we afford to be too scared of the opponent's weapon. So what am I trying to say with all of this? What I'm trying to say is we should respect the opponent's weapon, but we shouldn't be scared of it. As martial artists, we should be striving to develop our skills to allow us to gain tactical control of the situation, of the opponent, and of their weapon within fighting measure. So that's really the purpose of our training, ultimately. So we need to try and balance all of these things when we're practicing in the cell. Of course, in a real fight, any of us would be scared. In my case, I imagine I'd be terrified if I was faced with a real opponent with a sharp weapon and death in their eyes, so to speak. But because I'm doing this as a hobby, because I'm doing it as a free time activity, whose goal is kind of personal development and skill development, I should be focused on staying in measure and trying to practice my techniques properly. So yes, I should try to avoid being hit, but I shouldn't allow my fear to overwhelm me in a way which basically just destroys bouts and never allows exchanges to develop, and therefore never allows anyone's skill to develop. So that's really what I wanted to say and what I wanted to get across in today's video. If you want your skills to develop, and if you want to cultivate a real martial attitude in your practice, respect the opponent's weapon, but don't be afraid of it. So fence in measure, try to apply your techniques, try to develop your skills, and try to master the situation, and don't flee from it. All right, so that's my thoughts on the matter anyway. I hope that's interesting for you. I hope it gives you something to think about in your own practice. And I'll finish there for today. Take care, everyone. See you next time. Bye.